Today we're diving into one of the most chilling and controversial modern true crime cases, and a case that has recently been requested: the mysterious death of 19-year-old Kenneka Jenkins. This case gained massive attention online, spawning countless theories and questions, some of which still remain unanswered to this day. But before we look at some of the conspiracies, let's focus on what we do know. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think happened that night? So on Friday the 8th of September 2017, 19-year-old Kenneka Jenkins told her mum she was going bowling and to the cinema with some friends that night to celebrate her getting a job in a nursing home. Kenneka and her mum Teresa were extremely close. Kenneka had recently been helping to take care of her mother while she recovered from breast cancer surgery, so a night out just felt really well deserved. So at 11:30 that night, Kenneka borrowed her mum's car, but she didn't head for the cinema or the bowling alley. Instead, her and her 3 friends attended a party at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont, Chicago, in room 926. The hotel surveillance captured the 4 young women entering the hotel through the side door at around 1:13 a.m, at which time Kenneka was completely coherent. Soon after, at around 1:30 a.m, Kenneka sent a text to her sister, which was the very last contact Kenneka had with her family. It's not entirely clear what exactly happened at the party, but Kenneka could be heard on several live streams on Facebook and Snapchat videos. And she was said to have been drinking cognac, but no one recalls her taking any substances at all. A little after 3 a.m, Kenneka and her friends leave the party. They could be seen on surveillance walking to the elevators on the 9th floor, where Kenneka suddenly realised that she'd left her keys and her phone back in the room. Her 3 friends then left Kenneka while they retrieved her phone and keys from the party. But after returning around 10 to 15 minutes later, Kenneka was nowhere to be seen. While they had been retrieving Kenneka's belongings, Kenneka took an elevator to a lower floor of the hotel, which she was captured exiting at 3:25 a.m. It should also be noted, and I think it's pretty clear anyway by the surveillance, that Kenneka was highly intoxicated at this time. She continued to stumble down corridors and stairwells, often using the walls for support, and was clearly disorientated. She was last captured on CCTV as she made her way through an unused kitchen at 3:32 a.m. Although this isn't captured on surveillance, as it's just out of shot of the camera, authorities believe Kenneka opened the door to a dual compartment cooler and freezer unit before walking through to the freezer area within. Meanwhile, Kenneka's friends were captured on surveillance searching the hotel for Kenneka. And they were really close to her at one point, but tragically they didn't continue the path that Kenneka took into the unused kitchen. At around 4 a.m, after searching for quite some time, they eventually called Teresa and explained that they had actually attended a party at the Crown Plaza Hotel and they could no longer find Kenneka. They spoke to the hotel staff, and it's not exactly known what was discussed here, but the girls followed the direction that the staff member pointed in and continued their search. Eventually though, after no success, CCTV captures the 3 running to Teresa's car at around 5 a.m. They drove to Teresa's home, collected her, and drove back to the hotel again to assist in searching for her 19-year-old daughter. Teresa also spoke with the staff, requesting to view their surveillance footage in hopes of revealing where her daughter may have gone, but they refused. They told her no footage can be reviewed without an official missing persons report from police. So she attempted, but this too was a slow process. At 7:15 a.m. on the 9th of September, Teresa contacted the police, informing them of her missing daughter. It's a 10-minute long call, so I'll insert just a small snippet.
911, where's the address of your emergency?
Yes, I'm at the Crown Plaza, and I was calling because my daughter came to to a party here last night, a gathering with her friends. Now her friends, they say that they left on the front of the hotel, and she's not able to be found now.
Is that again? She's only been gone for a couple hours. She's, I don't know. Maybe she's, she could be somewhere with one of her friends or something. Because I mean, it is only a couple hours since you hadn't seen her, correct? Or since her friends supposedly hadn't seen her.
Correct. Let's say about 3 to 4 hours now. They said. They told me. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning when they called me.
Yeah. Are you looking to file a missing persons report then?
Is it possible that maybe they can look at the cameras, because they send the police out here and ask them to look at the cameras and see if they've seen her on their cameras around that time?
I was about to say, even if I did send an officer, it would take a little bit in order for us to get the camera footage and for us to pass it on to the detectives division. So
what would you suggest?
Again, the only thing I would suggest maybe just give her a couple hours. She could have went somewhere with one of her other friends. I mean, and who knows what her friends are saying is true. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You could tell, not to be saying, you could tell it don't sound right. I'm a parent. I've been young before, and it's not sounding right. It don't sound right, period. That's why I came out here myself, because and then it sounded like they had been drinking, honestly.
Yeah.
And I asked them, did she drink? And they said she had only 1 cup. But, okay, my daughter ain't the type that normally, she can't even take liquor. Her liquor level is just like mine. We can't take liquor. We cannot take liquor. We take a sip of liquor, we drunk.
Well then, so that in that case, what I would recommend, just go home, relax a little bit, give it some time. Of all we know, she very well could still be in the room. She could just be passed out. So just give it a couple hours. Maybe see if she'll get a hold of you again.
Okay, and so how long does it take for me to file a missing person report?
Well, you can file it at any time. It just like I said, just give it a little bit of time. If you hadn't heard from her by, I want to say about 10, 11 o'clock, then by all means, give us a call again. You can come to the station, and we can help you out from there.
Okay, thank you.
So after no further communication from the hotel or from Kenneka herself, Kenneka's sister filed an official missing persons report with the police at 12:46 p.m. on Saturday the 9th of September. It wasn't until then, though, that the 36 hours of surveillance from 47 different cameras was finally reviewed. It's not exactly clear if Kenneka's body was found through analysing the surveillance footage and ultimately managing to narrow down the search areas, or whether the hotel staff member that found her body just happened to be searching in that area anyway. But at 12:23 a.m, a member of the hotel staff enters the kitchen and heads to the area of the freezer. It's here that Kenneka Jenkins' body was found at 12:25 a.m. on the 20th of September 2017, roughly 21 hours after she's believed to have entered the freezer.
301, everything 10-4?
Negative. I have that subject in the kitchen in a freezer. She is frozen solid.
She was found with her right shoe a few feet away from her and a hair bubble laid on the floor behind her. The freezer showed to be 34 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius after the doors had remained open already for approximately 2 hours after the discovery of Kenneka's body, meaning the temperature would have been significantly colder while she was locked within. Reports state that it is capable of temperatures as low as 8 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 13 degrees Celsius. Kenneka's autopsy was quickly conducted and revealed intoxication of alcohol and a prescription medication called topiramate. Topiramate is an anticonvulsant and is often used to treat epilepsy or migraines. The family, however, state that Kenneka was not prescribed this medication. The only injuries to Kenneka's body was a scrape on her left ankle and a bruise on her right leg. They concluded that there wasn't enough evidence to suspect foul play, so they ruled Kenneka's death as an accident as the result of hypothermia. They stated that the mix of alcohol and topiramate was a significant contributing factor. The two together can cause impaired memory and concentration, poor coordination, and impaired judgment. But this ruling didn't sit well with amateur internet detectives. Multiple conspiracy theories, some completely far-fetched, quickly surfaced, with many analysing the surveillance footage and piecing together their own theories. But many were debunked by evidence presented by authorities. One theory saw Kenneka's friends from the party thrown under scrutiny, accused of allowing Kenneka to be assaulted and ultimately killed by the people at the party and later placed in the freezer. The Facebook Lives and Snapchat videos were thoroughly reviewed by internet sleuths, trying to find any detail possible to confirm their narratives. But autopsy results showed no evidence of SA, and surveillance clearly shows Kenneka walk into the kitchen where her body was later found, which led to another theory that the surveillance footage had been edited. It was alleged that the hotel couldn't release the footage to Teresa when she first requested, as the staff were busy editing people out of the footage. They said that people were luring her down to the freezer, or alleged that the people in question knew where to hide out of view of the cameras. But Kenneka could be seen entering the men's toilets for almost a minute before exiting again. So for what reason would she be lured in here for such a short amount of time before stumbling elsewhere around the hotel? Then came even more outlandish allegations and conspiracies. Some posts would claim that some of Kenneka's organs were missing, which isn't remotely what the coroner's report states. All of Kenneka's organs were present and classed as unremarkable. But with this, some even went as far as accusing Selena Gomez for Kenneka's death. Selena underwent a kidney transplant in 2017, so rumours surfaced that Kenneka was killed for her kidney for Selena. But as we mentioned, Kenneka's kidneys weren't missing, and Selena's donor was publicly known. But although these conspiracies have been disproven, many still believe that Kenneka's death wasn't at all an accident, and that she was actually murdered. The accidental ruling also wasn't favoured by Kenneka's family. They too believe she was murdered. They criticised both the police and the hotel, saying that their initial responses lacked urgency. Had the hotel reviewed the footage when Teresa asked, maybe Kenneka would have been located hours sooner and would potentially be found alive. They believed that foul play was definitely the cause of Kenneka's death and filed a $50 million lawsuit against the hotel. They questioned how could she have possibly opened the freezer door in the state that she was visibly in. The cooler and the freezer had external handles, which had to be pulled to be opened, and they would automatically close behind you. Again, both the freezer and the cooler were also equipped with an internal, circular and fully functioning opening mechanism. They were also both equipped with lighting, but the switch was located outside of the cooler, so it's not entirely clear if this light was on when she entered. But it's believed it may not have been, making it completely pitch black once the doors closed behind Kenneka, which may explain why she had difficulty finding the internal door release. Teresa's legal team, however, argued against these findings and believed that someone had secured the door from the outside after Kenneka was inside, maybe without even knowing that she was in there.
Through pure negligence, someone noticed that the doors in the kitchen were open. They locked them like they should have been locked. They locked the freezer, and unfortunately they locked Kenneka into the freezer.
They argued that it should have been locked to begin with, which is true. The hotel had multiple other kitchens, all of which were padlocked from the public. So why was this one left unsecured? And also, why was the fridge freezer in an unused kitchen being operated? According to some reports, although the hotel themselves weren't currently using the kitchen, a restaurant called Caddyshack was planning to use the space as extra storage for themselves. Hotel staff may have been able to intervene hours before Kenneka disappeared. They had actually been well aware of the party all along, as several noise complaints were made to hotel staff regarding room 926, but nothing was ever done. It was revealed that the credit card used to pay for the room was fraudulent and was linked to a Chicago gang. So it's not clear, but maybe this is why they chose not to intervene with the underage partiers. But had they intervened, maybe Kenneka would never have gotten lost within the hotel, ultimately leading to her death. Some reports also state that several members of hotel staff passed Kenneka while she was stumbling around the hotel, clearly able to see the state that she was in, but also failed to intervene or help to point her in the right direction. However, I don't know how true this is, as you'll have seen, there is no one visible in the surveillance footage, but that doesn't mean that people aren't just out of view. The Crown Plaza Hotel was ultimately described as grossly negligent in Kenneka's death. The hotel was found to have failed to secure restricted areas that should not have been accessible to guests, including the kitchen and walk-in freezer. They also delayed reviewing their own security footage, which significantly slowed the search for Kenneka. And these are only a couple of the multiple failures outlined in the lawsuit. So in December 2023, Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin, agreed to a total settlement of $10 million, $40 million less than she had initially sued the Crown Plaza Hotel for. From that settlement, approximately $3.7 million went directly to Teresa, $2.7 million was distributed to other family members, $3.5 million covered legal fees, and around $6,000 was allocated to Kenneka's funeral expenses. Kenneka's story is one that still leaves behind questions, grief and frustration. Whether you believe her death was a tragic accident, or that there were missed opportunities and unanswered details that deserved more scrutiny, one thing is undeniable. This was a preventable loss. A young woman with her whole future ahead of her, who was loved deeply by her family, and especially her mum, Teresa. This case just highlights the importance about how seriously we treat missing persons reports. So what are your thoughts? Do you believe that Kenneka's death was accidental? Or do you think there was much more to this story? A cover-up by authorities somewhere maybe?